comrades and friends. I'm very happy to be here today to inaugurate the 6-month-long course with the subject of Hindutva, its history and ideology. I want to congratulate the Padna Kendram for attempting this comprehensive study course of the ideology of the ruling party and the ruling classes today, which is Hindutva. It is now 11 years since the Modi government came into power, and these 11 years have made it clear that the central aim of this BJP RSS rule is to reshape India into becoming a Hindu Rashtra, which is the goal of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. The program of the Communist Party of India Marxist, the party program, has stated that the Bharatiya Janata Party is not an ordinary bourgeois party. It is a party which is run and controlled by the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, which has a fascistic ideology. And now, for the past 11 years, with the BJP government in power at the center, the RSS has had access to all the instruments of state power, to all the institutions of the state. And it has gone about systematically penetrating and infiltrating the institutions of the state with the goal of reshaping or reworking the Indian state from its present secular democratic character as given in the Constitution of India into a Hindutva Rashtra. I would call it not a Hindu Rashtra, but a Hindutva Rashtra, which is based on the ideology of the RSS. The RSS was founded in 1925, 100 years ago, and it is observing its centenary this year. When the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh was founded, it adopted the concept of Hindutva, which was first set forth by Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, V.D. Savarkar, in a booklet called Hindutva, which was published in 1923, 2 years before the RSS was formed. And it is the guiding concept of Hindutva which was set out by Savarkar, which was adopted by the RSS. The founders of the RSS were also members or leaders of the Hindu Mahasabha at that time. Savarkar was also a leader of the Hindu Mahasabha. And it was felt at that time that there is a need for a paramilitary wing for the Hindus to fight the Muslims. And this came in the background of the 2021 non-cooperation movement launched by Gandhiji, who was leading the Congress party, who also adopted the Khilafat cause which brought in the Muslims in a big way into the movement. And it was precisely this which upset the Hindu Mahasabha leaders and the Hindu communalists. And after the withdrawal of the non-cooperation movement by Gandhiji, which led to a lot of disillusionment within the Congress following, utilizing this, the RSS, which was formed in 1925, decided that they will devote themselves to the consolidation of the Hindu cause and direct their entire activities to counter the Muslims who had already, as you know, formed the Muslim League at that time. So at that time itself it was clear that the RSS was not interested in the independence struggle against the British. They wanted to have no part in the national movement, which was then becoming a big national mass movement. Because their basic objection was this was a movement in which there was Hindus and Muslims jointly participating. And the main target of criticism against Mahatma Gandhi, who was himself a devout Sanatani Hindu, was that he was appeasing the Muslims. So from then onwards, from its foundation in 1925, the RSS kept out of the freedom struggle. You will not find any record of any RSS leader joining any of the big mass movements and struggles which developed in the fight against the British. Their whole effort was to build up their strength so that they could take on the Muslims at the appropriate time in case the British left the country. So when we talk about the fascistic character of the RSS, we must understand exactly what is meant by that. Fascism in India, in the form of the RSS, is not different or isolated from the global rise of fascism in the world in the 20th century between the First World War and the Second World War. We saw the rise of fascism in Europe in the period of the Great Depression, the biggest world capitalist crisis that was seen so far, when the economies of the advanced capitalist countries, United States of America, Britain, Germany, France, all of them collapsed, leading to mass unemployment and impoverishment of the people. It was in this process of mass discontent and churning and disillusionment with the capitalist system that the fascist forces arose. First in Italy, under the leadership of Mussolini, the brown shirts, the black shirts, and then you found the rise of Nazi party under Hitler in Germany. And if you study the early writings of the RSS leaders, you'll find traces of this fascistic ideology and thinking in their writings. For instance, Golwalkar, who was the second chief of the RSS after Hegdewar, Golwalkar wrote a book, We and Our Nationhood Defined, in I'm not sure of the exact date, I think in 1940. And in that book you will find that he appreciates the steps taken in Germany by Hitler to solve the racial question. That is, he appreciates how they dealt with the Jews in Germany. And he bases the Hindutva nationalism squarely within the framework of racial and ethnic nationalism. That is, he calls the Hindus a race presumably the Aryan race. And this Aryan race of Hindus, it is their nation, Bharat, and it is their nationalism, which is Hindu nationalism or Hindutva nationalism. So from the beginning, the nationalism espoused by the யஅரச and now by the BJP is a distorted form of nationalism. A nationalism which is not anti-imperialist. A nationalism which is not territorial based, where people belonging to a common territory, all of them are considered citizens of that nation state, or who are all members of that nation. They are based, this nationalism is based on the so-called bogus theory of the Aryan race. And they claim that the Aryans were born in India. There was no, Aryans didn't come from outside. They're indigenous to India, to northwest India, and then they spread all over India. While all scientific theory, the latest genetic studies, you might have heard about how the scientists have done the genome tracing of how people migrated here, which conclusively shows that Aryans came into India from outside. But all this is discarded. The Hindus who are Aryans are indigenous to India. History is completely falsified. The Harappan civilization is an Aryan civilization. All historical study shows that it predates the Aryans coming into India. So the nationalism which they set out is a pseudo-nationalism. But it's a nationalism meant to rouse only one religious community to the exclusion of others. Second aspect of this Hindutva ideology is that it is, in class terms, completely identifies itself with the capitalist system and the big capitalists. Of course, there must be Hindu capitalists, big capitalists of our country. It has not got any anti-capitalist character. On the contrary, Golwalkar came out clearly with his anti-communist convictions. Time and again, he said that it is not only the Muslims and Christians who are alien to our society, the third enemy are the communists. So the class character of this, the outlook, class outlook of the யஅரச is firmly with the big bourgeoisie and the big capitalists. So the ideology which motivates the யஅரச and therefore the Bharatiya Janata Party, which is the political arm of the யஅரச, is an ideology which has fascistic characteristics. And now, 11 years after being continuously in power, we can see that it is no more remaining something in theory, something at the level of pure ideology. The effort is now to put it into practice. And in putting it into practice, an important aspect which should not be missed is that they are using the state, the instruments of the state, to put in practice this pernicious ideology. Today, when we see, we should not look at things piecemeal. what has happened in the last 1 decade is a planned effort, a long-term plan to reshape the Indian state and its institutions. Today, for example, we are still having the feeling or experiencing the effects of the யஅரச slogan of one nation, one language, one culture. One nation means, as I said, a nation built on Hindudom, on Hindu supremacy. And for that, the state itself is taking steps, measures, whereby they can change the concept of Indian citizenship. We saw one attempt through the Citizenship Amendment Act some years ago when they brought in religious identity as for definition of citizenship. That is, all except Muslims can come from outside and claim citizenship on a fast track, that is barred to the Muslims. This is the introduction of the religious identity as far as citizenship is concerned. We are seeing now the effort to have one nation, one election, for which constitutional amendments have been moved, which is still to be taken forward in Parliament. But they have brought it in so that they can try to push it at the appropriate time. This would mean there will be only one election held simultaneously for Parliament, for Assembly, and for local bodies, panchayats, etc. So that the ruling party can utilize all the instruments of state power to ensure that elections are won by them. Similarly, it will do away with the fundamental principles of parliamentary democracy which is there in the Constitution. The 5-year term of state legislatures will be tampered with in the name of bringing simultaneous elections. You elect an assembly for 5 years, and on that basis a government for state government for 5 years, but this can be truncated in order to see that elections are held simultaneously all over the country. So the nature of our parliamentary democratic system, the nature of the definition of citizenship, and the secular character of the state, all this is being systematically undermined and something else will be put in place. The secular character of the state, the basic definition of a secular state is that it will not interfere, it will not privilege or favor one religion over the other, and neither will it oppress or persecute any one particular religious community. But that is exactly what is happening. Today, a number of laws have been passed in BJP-ruled states. Anti-conversion laws, anti-cow slaughter laws, anti-love jihad laws, and so on, whereby an ordinary Muslim in Uttar Pradesh or in Gujarat or in Madhya Pradesh or in Rajasthan or in Assam can be punished on all sorts of false charges, and the might of the state and the administration will be falling on them. Today, just now in Uttar Pradesh in Sambal town, which has a predominant Muslim population, demolition by bulldozers of houses, and even mosques is going on right now. In Indore, Madhya Pradesh, where the BJP has been in power now for a long time, Indore is a very well-known city where there is an old, centuries-old market called the Sitla Mata Bazaar. Just now it is going on. The Muslim shopkeepers and Muslim workers, there are a lot of artisans who work for the textile garments market. They have been asked to leave the place. They have been asked to close down their shops, and Muslim workers are being fired. The effort is they will not have any livelihood or participation in the mainstream. They have to live in ghettos. Only in the Muslim ghettos can they have their shops, etc. They can't have shops in mixed bazaars or localities. This is what they did to the Jews in Germany. So this is already ongoing. That is, in the Hindu Rashtra, those who are not Hindus, that is, as Savarkar's definition, if it is not your Pitra Bhumi and your Punya Bhumi both, then you are not a Hindu. That is, you can't be a citizen. If your Punya Bhumi is outside India, it's Mecca or Medina or Jerusalem or the Vatican, then you're not considered to be part of the Hindu Rashtra. So that is being already put in place in states where the BJP has been ruling for a substantial part of time. So that is why the secular basis of the state and what the Constitution provides for is already being severely undermined. The 11 years of the Modi government can be characterized as based on a Hindutva corporate alliance. This Hindutva corporate axis is undergirding the Modi government. Because in our country, the big bourgeoisie, the big capitalists are the leaders of the ruling class in our country. And it is this big capitalist or big bourgeoisie which is completely now aligned itself with the யஅரச and the Hindutva, not just with the BJP. Over the course of this last 11 years, we have seen the top owners, promoters of the big business houses making a pilgrimage to Nagpur, to the யஅரச's headquarters. And every year when the Vijayadashmi rally is held in Nagpur, the foundation day of the யஅரச's, you will find among the honored guests are some of the top industrialists of India who are attending this rally every year. The Ram temple at Ayodhya, when it was constructed, the Tata Housing Construction Company designed the plans. And Larsen and Toubro, one of the biggest engineering companies in India, they actually did the construction. And they did it free for the Rama Janmabhoomi Trust. So you can see the close alliance or linkages between Hindutva and the big corporates of our country. And that is what is helping the BJP and the யஅரச's to step up their drive to impose Hindutva all over the country. And at the same time, it is the support of the BJP and the யஅரச's which is helping the big bourgeoisie of our country to maximize its profits, loot the natural resources of our country. There are 5 big monopoly houses, the Ambanis, the Adanis, Tatas, Aditya Birla and Mittal of Airtel. These 5 big conglomerates today control more than 20% of the total assets, corporate company assets of our country, except for the in the non-financial sector. So the concentration of capital and monopoly power is growing because of this alliance or nexus between Hindutva and the corporates. The drive to impose Hindutva all over the country among the people and the neoliberal drive, the drive to impose neoliberal policies, both of these have led to greater authoritarianism in the system. It is this authoritarian drive which has now led to this severe attack on democracy. It is the Hindutva corporate nexus which has led to the undermining of secularism and the assault on federalism. All the three pillars of our democratic constitution are under siege. And we cannot, and in our recent party congress in Madurai in April, for the first time we said that this attack on democracy, on the attack by Hindutva, it is displaying neo-fascist characteristics. We use the term neo-fascist deliberately to distinguish it from the old fascism, the classical fascism of the 20th century. As I stated earlier, the fascism of the 20th century arose due to the severe crisis of the world capitalist system manifested in the Great Depression. And it is out of this economic crisis that the fascist forces arose, and as Georgy Dimitrov, the leader of the Communist International, the great Bulgarian communist leader, who was tried by the Nazis in Germany, he's defined fascism as the open terroristic dictatorship of the most reactionary sections of finance capital. That is, the most reactionary sections of the ruling class, of the big capital, they support this fascist movement to impose an open dictatorship. And once the fascists came to power, like Hitler came to power after the elections, he abolished bourgeois democracy, all bourgeois democratic institutions. Similarly, Mussolini also abolished all bourgeois democratic institutions. Secondly, they both used war against other big capitalist powers, imperialist powers. Germany declared war against Britain, France, etc. And they got the support of the big monopolist companies which wanted war production, armaments production, to get out of the crisis. And they got out of the crisis. They created employment due to the war economy. But of course, eventually at a terrible price to the people of Germany. Today, we don't have that type of fascism. First of all, there is no inter-imperialist contradictions leading to war. Like Lenin said, that Germany versus Britain, Britain versus France, all these big imperialist powers, they were the cause for war because of their competition and rivalry. Today, all the big capitalist powers are united. They may have some disagreements or conflict, but they settle it through bargaining and negotiations. Just like now Trump as the European powers are having a lot of problems with Trump, but they don't start going to war. It used to happen in the 20th century. So today, the fascists new fascist forces are rising in the world. Just like then, India was also affected with the formation of RSS. Today, if you look around the world, you find the rise of the global far right. Trump is there in the United States of America. There is Millet in the opposition. It is therefore necessary to understand, first of all, what I said, what is the nature of the beast we are facing, and then only we can decide how to fight it. There are liberals in our country, well-meaning, secular, liberal people, who think by focusing on the Constitution, attacks on the Constitution, saying our secularism is threatened, our democracy is threatened, our civil rights are threatened, and how the RSS is targeting minorities. All that is important. All that is to be said. But just focusing on that will not be sufficient. Because, as I said, in class terms, the strength that the RSS and the BJP have today is derived because they have the powerful backing of the strongest section of the ruling class of our country. And Hindutva and communalism and neoliberal policies, they go side by side. You cannot separate them. So the fight against the BJP and the RSS can be effectively conducted only when we fight against the neoliberal policies side by side with the struggle against the Hindutva communal ideology. One fight alone won't be sufficient. One struggle alone, separated and isolated from the other, will not succeed. So we have to learn to combine both these struggles together. It is a difficult task because we are used to fighting against our ruling classes, mainly through the fight on the economic issues of the people, of their livelihood issues, of the social and economic oppression of the different sections of the people. But we are faced with a different type of ruling party and enemy today, which is using the class power of the big bourgeoisie. They are also unleashing ideological and political project which will dismantle the basis of a secular democratic setup. So how to combine these two struggles and carry them forward is the most important question today. Again, many of the non-left secular opposition forces who want to fight the BJP, their main focus is how to fight them in the electoral field, how to fight them in elections and defeat them. This again is something which is insufficient to isolate and defeat these forces. Insufficient because they already have a mass base and influence. In some election or the other, they may get an electoral defeat or setback. But that does not mean that their political influence and ideological influence has been eliminated. They will come back. This is what happened after the defeat of the Vajpayee government in 2004. And then we saw they came back in 2014. We saw Trump was defeated in America in 2020, and now he has come back in the 2024 election after 4 years. Because the social and political forces or bases which they have built up, they don't disappear because of an electoral setback. So it is very necessary to understand and recognize that the main fight or the main arena of struggle is in the ideological sphere, in the cultural sphere, in the social sphere, in the educational sphere. It is in all these areas that the RSS works constantly. It leaves the job of fighting elections to the BJP, its political wing. But round the clock in society, it is working through various organizations and outfits in the field of culture, in the field of religion, in the field of social relations, and in the educational field. When we are seeing how under the Modi government all these spheres are being affected, impacted. Everybody knows what is happening in our educational system. Even in a state like Kerala, where there is a LDF government, the BJP and the RSS try to use central powers of the central government, of the UGC, of the governor, who is the chancellor of universities, to try and penetrate the RSS personnel and its ideology into the higher educational sphere. This is happening freely, openly, without any problem in BJP-ruled states. But in states which are run by non-BJP parties or anti-BJP parties, like in Kerala or Tamil Nadu or even West Bengal, the governor is used to enter into the universities. So not only that, the entire syllabi, curriculum of higher education and down to the school education in all BJP-ruled states has changed beyond recognition. What is taught as history, what is taught as social sciences, what is taught as everything. Even natural sciences, they are able to distort it and convert it into what they think should be taught as science. So this struggle, here this is where the priority is required. This is where even the left, which is the most consistent ideological force against the Hindutva ideology, I feel has been lagging behind. We are only reacting to what they do most of the time. When they take a step, then we respond to it. We are not taking the battle into the territory to win over people's minds. It is a fact that substantial sections of the people in northern India and western India, that is from Bihar to Maharashtra, that whole belt, north and Gujarat, Maharashtra, substantial sections of people have already been influenced by the Hindutva ideology. The BJP RSS attempt to create a pan-Hindu consolidation. If you have to go amongst those people, how do you take the ideological battle? That is an important issue, because already that influence has gone down, percolated among the people. So we have to work out ways, devise methods. And in states and places where the Hindutva ideology has not yet captured ground among the people to that extent, we are in a better position to take steps to counter and push them back, isolate them. Kerala is one such place where they are trying to advance, but we are in a position, because still a large section of the people, the huge, big section of people are still not yet subject to their influence or not been are still immune to that influence. So, but we have to be vigilant, and we must not wait for things to happen and then respond. So, we have discussed this matter seriously in our party, not now, in the last 2 party congresses, and in this 24th Congress also. We have a section in our political resolution on countering Hindutva, how to counter Hindutva. There are 6 points given in that section. And the first point is that we must mobilize all our intellectual resources, our theoretical resources, to be able to concretely expose all the various aspects of Hindutva communal ideology and activities and counter them. And this could be done through study centers like the Kelutan Padna Gaveshana Kendran and many other study centers and research centers that we have. Mobilize all those resources so that we continuously bring out a stream of material which is in popular language through multimedia, which can attack the Hindutva ideology and its communal activities and project the alternative to them. This is one aspect. The second is, as I said, we have to combine our campaign and struggles against the neoliberal economic policies and assaults on the livelihood of the people with simultaneously conducting a political and ideological campaign against the BJP RSS and its communal agenda. This has to go side by side. Thirdly, we have said that in one of the aspects of Hindutva ideology, it is still upholding Manusmriti, which is anti-woman, anti-Dalit, anti-Adivasi, etc. Though they cover it up with various maneuvers to try to consolidate Hindus and utilizing various caste aspects. So the specific social oppression which is there and how this is based on the Hindutva Manuvadi system or Manusmriti, this should also be taken up and exposure conducted, and struggles of the socially oppressed people, not in just terms of reservation, but in genuine terms of the pinpointing the nature of the social oppression and fighting against it, that should be taken up, and so on. And as I mentioned, in the sphere of education, utilizing all our resources in the educational system of our teachers, of our academics, and mobilizing students, etc., to see that there is no communal penetration in the educational system. Then a big area which the RSS concentrates is on social work, social service. And in the whole area of social work and social service, we have to work out methods of having social service work, social work among the people, so that we keep live links with the people and are able to counter it. And finally, which has already been, I'm sure it has been discussed in Kerala, that is, considering the fact that the RSS uses places of worship, religious places of worship, festivals, temples, festivals, etc., under the cover of which they try to penetrate their Hindutva ideology and communal ideology, it is very important that we find ways to reach out to believers, to make them understand the difference between practicing one's religious faith and that faith being misused for a political project like Hindutva. How to work among the believers, how to draw them into progressive secular values while they maintain their religious faith and activities, this also has to be concretely worked out. So all these tasks are before us. We are confident that in the present situation in India, if the CPIM and the left forces take up this task seriously, we will be able to gather more and more support and eventually fight back and reverse this Hindutva corporate offensive in our country, which is going to prove so dangerous for our people and our society. Thank you.